The Gemara tells us that Hashem says, Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati Torah Tavlin. I created the Yetzer Hara, and I created the Torah as an antidote. But what is the mechanism that the Torah serves as an antidote to fight against the Yetzer Hara? So, there's a beautiful mashal that's brought down in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, that one time there was a man who had two sons. One of his sons was well-mannered, responsible. The other one was not so much. He used to make a mess. He was not responsible with his money or with anything. And this man had a lot of money, and he wanted to give his money to his son who was responsible. But he was afraid to bring up the topic in the home, because if he brought it up, he was afraid that the son who was not responsible would make a whole fight and a whole fuss and try to fight for the right to the money, to the inheritance. So the father had to think of a plan to get the son he didn't want the money to go to, out of his way. So he had a plan. He sat down at the dinner table, and he made the dinner table a 5-star meal. Tablecloth, those napkins that you have to, put on your lap, candlelit, waiters, And he made it a fancy meal. And he sat them both down, and the well-mannered son, responsible son, takes the napkin, puts it on his lap, and he starts eating with a fork and a knife. And the other son, who's messy and not so responsible, he comes to the table, he tries to start eating with his hands, and the father says, "Oh no, this is a fancy meal. This isn't a high level. This is this is not the time to start using your hands. This is not appropriate for what we're doing here." So what does he do? The son I'm not sitting here. This is not where I belong. He gets up and leaves. And now the father has the floor with his son, who he wants to talk to, about giving his inheritance. Say this Farim, that's a perfect mashal for what it means that the Torah is a tavlin. Because how do inappropriate and bad thoughts come into our minds? It's because our minds are void of Torah. But when the person has his mind full of Torah, his focus is on Torah, then the Yetzer Hara comes and tries to sit down, but this is not where I belong. This is not my place. And he leaves. The way we get rid of the Yetzer Hara, the way we get the Yetzer Hara out of our table, is by having the Torah on our mind. When a person is constantly learning Torah, and the Torah is on his mind, in his head is full of Torah, the Yetzer Hara feels this is not my place. I don't belong here. And he leaves. That's what it means. A person wants to fight his Yetzer Hara. The way by doing that is by showing the Yetzer Hara, you don't belong here. The way a person gets rid of thoughts and actions that are inappropriate and habits that are inappropriate is by focusing on Torah, making Torah his focus, and by that he chases away the Yetzer Hara.
Thank you for listening to the Guard Your Eyes Daily Chizuk broadcast. Pass them on to your friends and help spread Kedusha in the world.